Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Students, you are able to listen me?
Yes, sir. Right now it's okay.
Okay. Okay, in yesterday's session, we have discussed about what are the various definitions of air pollution and what are the various sources of air pollution we have been seen. And in this session, we are going to discuss about what are the various classification of air pollutants. So we know that air pollutant is nothing but a substance which present in atmosphere and which is reason for the air pollution and which can cause harmful effects to human beings and as well as which spoils the environment. So such substances in atmosphere are called as air pollutants. So based upon their origin, air pollutants have been classified, and based upon their sources, air pollutants have been classified, and based upon their physical state also, air pollutants have been classified. So these are the three types of major classifications of air pollutants we are going to see. And one more classification is there, that is the classification of air pollution sources. So in this session we are going to see that classification of air pollutants as well as classification of air pollution sources. So first one is the classification of air pollutants based on their origin. So based on their origin, air pollutants have been classified into two types: primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. So you can see here primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. Primary pollutants is nothing but the pollutants which entered into atmosphere directly from their sources are called as primary pollutants. And secondary pollutants is nothing but the pollutants which released in atmosphere due to some chemical reactions between the primary pollutants or due to some chemical interactions between the primary pollutants and atmospheric constituents. So those pollutants are called as secondary pollutants. So come here. Primary pollutants are those which are emitted in atmosphere emitted into atmosphere directly from any identifiable sources. The atmosphere contains hundreds of natural and anthropogenic sources of air pollution.
Anthropogenic.
Anthropogenic,
Anthropogenic.
anthropogenic is nothing but man-made sources like industries, automobiles. You may call it as artificial or man-made sources. Okay, now? Okay, all such pollutants are called as primary pollutants. So some important primary pollutants are oxides of sulfur. Among oxides of sulfur, sulfur dioxide is the primary pollutant, and carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, these are called as oxides of carbon. And the next one is the oxides of sulfur. Among oxides of sulfur, nitrogen dioxide and NO. NO is the nitrogen monoxide. These two are the primary pollutants. And one more is there, NO3. It is nitrogen trioxide. Sometimes it may directly emitted into atmosphere from sources, or sometimes it may produce in an atmosphere due to the reactions between primary pollutants. So nitrogen trioxide, sometimes it may act as primary pollutant and sometimes it may act as secondary pollutant. And hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons are also gaseous pollutants and they come under primary pollutants. Hydrocarbons is nothing but the gases in their composition which contains hydrogen and carbon. They are called as hydrocarbons. And the next one is the SPM. SPM is nothing but particulate matter, standard particulate matter. And next are the hydrogen sulfide, hydrogen fluoride, and mercaptans. Mercaptans are nothing but they are also a kind of hydrocarbons. And in their hydrocarbons are nothing but the gases which contains hydrogen and carbon. And mercaptans are nothing but the gases which contains hydrogen, carbon, as well as sulfates or sulfides. It means sulfur compounds. So such gases are called as mercaptances. So these are all the major and important primary pollutants. And next one is the secondary pollutants. Secondary pollutants is nothing but the pollutants which are formed in the atmosphere as a result of two or more primary pollutants are by reactions with normal atmospheric constituents. These are newly formed pollutants and are often more harmful than the original basic chemicals. It means the secondary pollutants are the more harmful than the primary pollutants. And these are the various examples for secondary pollutants. See, don't try to disturb class. So the examples of secondary pollutants are sulfuric acid, ozone, formaldehydes, peroxyacetyl nitrate, it means PAN, and photochemical smog. So these are all the various air pollutants which are formed in atmosphere due to the chemical reactions between primary pollutants are due to the interactions of primary pollutants with atmospheric constituents. So sulfuric acid, it is produced in atmosphere due to the chemical reactions between water vapor or precipitation in atmosphere and sulfur dioxide or sulfur trioxide. Whenever sulfur trioxide reacts with water vapor, H2O, H2SO4 will be produced. And whenever nitrogen dioxide or nitrogen monoxide gets oxidized in the presence of sunlight, it means then ozone will be produced, and it means ozone will be produced in atmosphere due to photochemical reactions. And the formaldehydes are nothing but whenever hydrocarbons or mercaptans gets oxidized in atmosphere, then formaldehydes will be produced. Formaldehydes, the chemical formula of formaldehyde is the RCH4. And PAN, peroxyacetyl nitrate also will be produced due to photochemical reactions of oxides of sulfur or oxides of nitrogen in atmosphere. And photochemical smog also, it is a kind of smog in atmosphere produced in atmosphere due to photochemical reactions. And the color of photochemical smog will be in brown color sometimes. So these are all the major and important secondary pollutants. And as you can see here, sulfuric acid H2SO4 is formed by the simple chemical reaction between sulfur dioxide and H2O vapor, water vapor, and is much more toxic pollutant than sulfur dioxide, and it causes acid rains. It means whenever sulfur dioxide or sulfur trioxide reacts with water vapor or precipitation in atmosphere, sulfur dioxide will be produced in atmosphere. It means sulfuric acid will be produced. It means sulfuric acid means it is acidic in nature. It means whenever sulfuric acid formed in atmosphere, it makes atmosphere acidic in nature. So then automatically whatever the precipitation will takes place in acidic atmosphere, that precipitation will be called as acid rain. And other secondary pollutants like ozone, formaldehyde, PAN, etc. are formed by photochemical reactions. They are caused, it means they will produce an atmosphere in the presence of sunlight due to the chemical reactions taking place between primary pollutants. See guys, this is recording here. So I'm going to post and I'm going to send this video to management also. They are going to view. It means they can find out who is disturbing class. That's why I'm saying that don't disturb here. Okay, now so based upon their origin, air pollutants have been classified into two types: primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. And the next one more classification is there based upon their sources. It means natural pollutants and artificial pollutants. So about that we have seen yesterday. It means the pollutants which emitted into atmosphere due to natural causes like volcanic eruptions or forest fires, or it means a few pollutants like dust or whereas particulate matter will be evolved in atmosphere due to heavy wind speed, or the pollen is a major and primary natural pollutant. So all these pollutants which are produced in atmosphere due to natural causes, they are called as natural pollutants. And whatever the pollutants, all these pollutants which are emitting into atmosphere due to man-made sources like industries or automobiles or power plants or nuclear power plants, so they are all called as artificial pollutants. That is the another classification. And next one more classification is there, that is based upon their physical state. So based on their physical state, the air pollutants have been classified into two types: particulate matter and gaseous pollutants. So particulate matter is nothing but the particles. It means particulate matter is nothing but particles. It means the pollutants which can suspend in atmosphere as a solids or as a liquids or as a liquid droplets. They can suspend in atmosphere, and their size should be microscopic. It means whose size we can measure by using microscope, and if they can suspend in atmosphere for a small time or for a time, then those pollutants are called as particulate matter. So you can see here, particulates or aerosols refers to the dispersion of solid or liquid particles of microscopic size in air or in any gaseous media such as dust, smoke, or mist. So these such kind of pollutants are called as particulate matter. And one more term is there, aerosols. Particulates are aerosols. Particulates means whatever the pollutants in the form of particles, they are called as particulates. And whenever those particles suspending in atmosphere above the earth surface, at the time of suspending or at the time of suspension in atmosphere, they are called as aerosols. So that is the difference between particulates and aerosols. You have to remember that. And next is the, an aerosol can also be defined as a colloidal system in which dispersion medium is gas and the dispersed phase is solid or liquid. So this is nothing but the dispersion is nothing but suspension or spreading over an area in atmosphere. So aerosol also can be defined as it is a colloidal system in which dispersion medium is gas or air and the dispersed phase is the solid or liquid. Okay. And next is the term aerosol is used during the time it is suspended in the air. So whenever the particles are suspending in air, at the time only the term aerosol should be used. After it has been settled either by which of their weight or by agglomeration, the term no longer applies. It means agglomeration is nothing but whenever two or more particles combine together and then they will form a larger size particle. So that process is called as agglomeration here. So due to increase in their weight, it means due to increase in their weight, they can undergo the influence of gravity and then they can settle on the surface of the earth. So that process is called as agglomeration. It means combining of two or more particles together, and they, it means automatically whenever they combine together, their weight will be increases. So due to the increase of their weight, they can settle on the ground. That process is called as agglomeration. So due to their weight or due to agglomeration, they can settle on the ground. So whenever they are suspending, then only we can use the term aerosols. Or whenever they are deposited on surfaces or earth surface, then we should not call them aerosol. Only we have to call them as particulate matter. And however, it is a nuisance both they are aerosol or as particulate. It means and as settled or deposited matter. It means only they can cause nuisance. And also, okay, you can see here, aerosols differ widely in terms of particle size, particle density, and their importance as pollutants. You can see here, these are all the various types of particulate matter: dust, smoke, mist, fog, and fume. So dust is nothing but the particles like silt particles or clay particles. Whenever they're traveling along with wind speed, then only we. So at the time, the traveling silt or clay particles are called as dust, and sometimes fly ash, cement particles also called as dust. Okay, you can see here. And okay, dust is a commonly used term applied to solid particles larger than colloidal particles and capable of temporary suspension in air or other gases. Okay, dust particles are formed by natural disintegration of rock or soil or by the mechanical grinding of wood. So this is the source of dust particles in atmosphere. Due to the natural disintegration of rock or soil or by the mechanical grinding of wood or some other metal, dust will be produced. So these are all the various types of dusts. It means normal dust is nothing but silt or clay particles whose size is it means who dust part normal, it means clay particles or silt particles dust. If they are traveling along with wind, at the time their size will be 20 microns, and the size of fly ash particles will be 3 to 80 microns, and the size of cement particles will be 10 to 150 microns, and the size of foundry dust particles will be 1 to 200 microns. So these sizes are the important terms, you have to remember that. So the sizes of various dust particles is the important values. So what is the size of fly ash particles, like that you may get question. So the size of fly ash particles may be 3 to 80 microns. So like that. And most of the dust particles settle to the ground as dust fall, but particles smaller than 5 microns, they won't settle. They form, it means they are, they form, it means they keep in suspension. And dust do not tend to flocculate except under electrostatic forces. They also do not diffuse but settle under influence of gravity. Flocculation is nothing but whenever they come in except under electrostatic forces. Electrostatic force is nothing but a strong electromagnetic field. It means whenever the dust particles come under electrostatic, it means electromagnetic field, immediately they move towards the negative charged part. It means electromagnetic field contains two parts. One is positively charged part and another one is the negatively charged part or negatively charged surface. Immediately the particles in the negative, it means the particles in the electromagnetic field, they try to move towards the negatively charged surfaces. So it means the deposition or the suspension of the particles are called as flocculation, and they do not tend to flocculate except under electrostatic forces. It means okay, it means only in the electromagnetic field, it means the force exerted by the dust particles in whenever they are in the electromagnetic field, that forces are called as electrostatic forces, and whenever they undergo electrostatic forces they can deposit. So they cannot flocculate whenever there is no electrostatic forces, that's it. And they are also do not diffuse but settle under the influence of gravity, that's it. It means only they can under, it means if we need to make the settlement of dust particles, they should undergo electrostatic forces or they should undergo influence of gravity, otherwise they cannot settle. And the next one is the smoke. Smoke is nothing but whenever we burn organic materials, then only the smoke will be produced. It means whenever we burn various organic fuels like coal, petroleum, or various organic matter or wood like that, whenever we burn, then only smoke will be produced. Okay, you can see here. Smoke consists of finely divided particles resulting from incomplete combustion of fuel or some other chemical process. They consist of carbon particles and combustible materials. The particle size of smoke is less than 1 micron. Okay, whenever we burn coal, the produced smoke is called as coal smoke, and whenever we burn fuel, it means petroleum or diesel like oil fuels, the smoke is called as oil smoke. So this particle size of coal smoke is 0.01 to 0.2 microns, and the particle size of oil smoke is 0.03 to 1 micron. These are the important values, you have to remember that. The particle size of coal smoke is 0.01 to 0.2 microns, and the particle size of oil smoke is 0.03 to 1 microns. And one more thing is that the particle size of smoke is always less than 1 microns. Okay, next one is the mist. Mist is made up of liquid droplets which are formed by condensation in the atmosphere or released from industrial operations. It means the liquid droplets, whatever the droplets, liquid droplets suspending in atmosphere, they are called as mist. And the mist is formed due to the condensation in atmosphere. Condensation is nothing but the conversion of gases into liquids due to reduced temperatures is called as condensation. It means the whatever the water vapor present in atmosphere, it tries to convert it into atmospheric moisture. So that process is called as atmospheric condensation. So during the condensation of atmosphere, the mist or the water droplets will be produced in atmosphere. So so such droplets will be called as mist. And also due to some industrial process like it means the various industrial process like especially the soap manufacturing industries and various textile industries also, they will produce mist into atmosphere. Okay, and natural mist particles formed from water vapor in the atmosphere. It means whenever water vapor tries to convert it in the form of moisture or liquid, so then mist will be produced in atmosphere. So and the size of mist particles is in between 40 to 500 microns. This is the important thing you have to remember in this. The size of mist particles is the 40 microns to 500 microns. And the mist particles are coalesce. Coalesce is nothing but coalesce is, it means the particle which have the property of cohesion, then the then such particles are called as coalesce. It means the liquid droplets or mist droplets, whenever they are suspending in atmosphere, they can attach it together. It means two or more liquid droplets, they can combine together and they can form a new droplet. New droplet. Such property is called as coalesce. It means there will be cohesion between the liquid droplets. So such property is called as coalesce property. Sorry, the particles who are having cohesion, those particles are called as coalesce particles. Okay. In metrology, mist means high light dispersion of water droplets suspended in atmosphere. Okay, this is the definition of mist. You can consider it as a definition of mist. Light dispersion of water droplets suspended in atmosphere is called as mist as per metrology. Metrology means the study or the science of atmosphere is called as metrology. Fog is nothing but snow or ice. The dispersed ice or the dispersed snow in atmosphere is called as fog. You can see here, fog is a liquid dispersed aerosol in atmosphere. In metrology, it refers to dispersion of water or ice in atmosphere near the earth's surface. It reduces the visibility of surroundings up to half kilometer. And in natural fog, the size of the particles ranges between 1 to 40 microns. So this is the important thing you have to remember here. The size of the it means the particle size of the natural fog is the 1 to 40 microns. You can remember that value. And next one is the fume. Fume is nothing but vapor. It means whenever we boil water or whatever the liquid, whenever we boil some kind of vapor, we can find at the top of the water or liquid. So that vapor, such kind of vapors are called as fume. So an amount of vapor present in atmosphere that smells strongly and is difficult to inhale. It means whenever difficult and sometimes dangerous to inhale. So that vapor present in atmosphere due to the heating or evaporation of liquids is called as fume. Okay, fume particles are generated by condensation from the gaseous state, generally after volatilization from melted substances and often accompanied by chemical reactions. It means the sources of fume are the condensation from gaseous state. It means whatever the substances in gaseous state, whenever they try to, it means whenever they try to convert it into liquid phase, at the time also at the time also foam will be produced. And also whenever we need to volatilization is nothing but evaporation of dissolved substance. Whenever we dissolve a solid or gas in a liquid, it means the volatilization is nothing but the evaporation of such dissolved substance is called as volatilization. It means, okay, due to the volatilization or the volatilization of melted substances, also fume will be produced. And also due to some chemical reactions, fume will be produced. And the flume particles are the flocculate and sometimes they are coalesce. Flocculate is nothing but whenever they can join together, and also they can undergo influence of gravity. Such property is called as flocculation. And whenever they can join together and they can remain suspension in atmosphere, such property is called as coalesce. Okay, fume particles are flocculate and flume particles are coalesce in nature. So these are all the various types of particulate matter in atmosphere, like dust particles, smoke particles, mist, fume, and fog. So these are all the 5 types of particulate matter, and which can, it means which are the responsible for the air pollution. Okay, these are all the particulate matter. And the next one is the gaseous pollutants. So gaseous pollutants is nothing but the pollutants in atmosphere which are in gaseous state are called as gaseous pollutants. So you can say that the pollutants which are in solid or liquid phase, they are called as aerosols or particulate matter. And the pollutants which are in gaseous state or gaseous phase, they are called as gaseous pollutants. And various we can say a number of gaseous pollutants like sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen trioxide, hydrocarbons, like that. So among all these air pollutants, all gaseous air pollutants, sulfur dioxide is the major air pollutant, and which is responsible for the huge quantity of air pollution worldwide. It means approximately 60 to 70% of air pollution is caused due to sulfur dioxide. Okay, see here, sulfur dioxide, its chemical formula is SO2. Sulfur dioxide is one of the principal constituents of air pollutants, sulfur dioxide is the basic air pollutant among all the oxides of sulfur. Okay, and sulfur dioxide is a colorless gas with the characteristic pungent odor. It means its odor is pungent. It means we cannot inhale it and we cannot smell it. And it is moderately soluble in water. Okay. In atmosphere, it gets oxidized and form sulfur trioxide, SO3. And whenever sulfur dioxide released into atmosphere, immediately it will get oxidized. It means it will find some oxygen molecule in atmosphere and it will produce SO3 in atmosphere. And sometimes sulfur trioxide directly emitted from their sources. And sometimes sulfur trioxide will be produced in atmosphere due to reactions. Okay. So sulfur dioxide is a SO2 is a primary pollutant, SO3 is a secondary pollutant, and sometimes it may be primary pollutant. In polluted atmosphere, SO2 reacts photochemically or catalytically with other chemicals or pollutants or normal atmospheric constituents from sulfur trioxide constituents to form sulfur trioxide, sulfuric acid, and salts of sulfuric acid. Okay, you can see here, whenever sulfur dioxide emitted in the atmosphere, it can undergo various chemical reactions, like directly it can undergo chemical reaction or it can undergo some photochemical reactions, and also it can get oxidized in atmosphere. So then it will produce sulfur trioxide in atmosphere, and also it will produce sulfuric acid in atmosphere, and also it will produce salts of sulfuric acid. The salts of sulfuric acid is nothing but a particulate matter. So sulfur dioxide emitted in atmosphere, it can also form some various some particulate matter in atmosphere. That particulate matter are called as salts of sulfuric acid, and also it will produce some salts of sulfides. They are also particulate matter. Okay, and the main source of sulfur dioxide is the combustion of fuels. This is the main source of sulfur dioxide in atmosphere. You can see here, a fuel like if you take coal in its composition, up to 4% will be the sulfur, and if you take petroleum, up in the composition of petroleum, 1 to 5% will be the sulfur. And if you take flue gases means the whatever the gases evolved due to the combustion of anything, whatever that organic matter like wood or trees, or whatever the organic matter like fuels or whatever the thing, if you burn, few gases will be evolved. Those gases are called as flue gases. It means the gases releasing due to the combustion or due to burning of substances, organic substances, are called as flue gases. So if you take flue gases in their composition, 0.05 to 0.25% will be sulfur. So whenever we burn these fuels like coal or petroleum or flue gases, sulfur dioxide will be produced in atmosphere. So, and that is the first source of sulfur dioxide. And the next source is the metallurgical industry or metallurgical operations. So if you take various metals, each and every metal coming from earth. So if you take zinc, copper, lead, or aluminum, or manganese, whatever, iron, even iron also, all these things will be in earth in the form of sulfides or sulfates. Zinc sulfate, or copper sulfate, or iron sulfate, or even lead also, lead sulfate or lead sulfate. So we need to those raw metals. After that, we have to process them, and then we have to extract the original or free metals. So that process, during that process, also, those processes are called as metallurgical operations. Okay, now so metallurgical operations also reason behind the emission of sulfur dioxide into atmosphere. And next one is the sulfuric acid plants, paper manufacturing plants also can release sulfur dioxide in atmosphere. And the open burning of solid waste are also release sulfur dioxide into atmosphere. It means the open burning of solid waste or municipal incineration. Incineration is nothing but a burning, but whenever we burn in open atmosphere, that is called as open burning. Whenever we burn in a closed chamber, that is called as incineration. Okay, now so the burning or incineration of solid waste also produce some amount of sulfur dioxide into atmosphere. And coming to the properties of sulfur dioxide is the irritant gas, and it okay, and what are all the health effects it can cause, we can see here. whenever we inhale the gas or air which contains sulfur dioxide, it will affect our mucous membranes. Mucous membranes means inside skin. Inside skin, it means the inside skin of nose, ears, or mouth are called as mucus. So immediately whenever we inhale that, it will affect the mucous membranes and it will increase the breathing rate. It can cause oxygen deficiency in our body, and the patients of asthma will be affected badly due to the sulfur dioxide. And also it can cause a disease called as bronchial spasm. This is a bronchial spasm. This is the disease related to our respiratory system. And sulfur dioxide is responsible for causing acidity in fogs, smokes, and this is under rains. It means whenever sulfur dioxide emptied into atmosphere, it will react with water vapor and it make the atmosphere acidic in nature. So it make atmospheric fogs, smoke, and rains acidic in nature, and then it will produce the acid in an atmosphere. And one more thing, it is the major source of corrosion of buildings and metallic objects. sulfur Sulfur is the reason behind the corrosion of metallic substances or buildings. It means the sulfur dioxide also can cause corrosion to the building materials like stones. Also it can cause corrosion. It means that it will react with the surface of the building stones and then it will change the color of the stones. So that is nothing but corrosion of stones. Okay. And as per NOx, NAAQS, it is nothing but National Ambient Air Quality Standards. As per NOx, the permissible limit for SO2 concentration in our ambient atmosphere is the 50 micrograms per meter cube. It means if you take 1 meter cube of atmospheric air, in that only the sulfur dioxide content or concentration should not be greater than 50 micrograms. So this is about the sulfur dioxide. And the next important pollutant is the carbon monoxide. And the sulfur dioxide is the major pollutant. It means sulfur dioxide will cause major quantity of air pollution, and carbon monoxide is the highly dangerous pollutant among all the pollutants. It is the highly poisonous pollutant. And carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas. It is highly poisonous gas. It produced into atmosphere whenever we burn organic materials like methane, coal, wood are incompletely burnt. It means the incomplete burning or combustion of such organic materials will release carbon monoxide into atmosphere. Vehicular exhausts are the single largest source of carbon monoxide. It means the major source of carbon monoxide is the automobiles. Vehicles are automobiles. Poorly maintained vehicles and those having inefficient engines without being fitted inadequate pollution control devices release greater amount of carbon monoxide. It means the poorly maintained vehicles and also enough the vehicles which contains inefficient engines. So those vehicles will produce a large quantity of carbon monoxide into atmosphere. And you can see here, carbon monoxide possesses about 200 times affinity for blood hemoglobin than oxygen. When carbon monoxide inhaled, it immediately reacts with Hb. Hb means hemoglobin and forms carboxyhemoglobin in our human body. It stops the oxygen supply to body tissues. You have to remember this point. Whenever we inhale carbon monoxide into our body, immediately it will react with the hemoglobin in our body, and then it will stop the supply of oxygen to the various body parts. Understand or no? So it means the major part. It means the duty of hemoglobin is the supply of oxygen among various body parts. So it will stops the supply of oxygen among various body parts. And one more thing you have to remember, that carboxyhemoglobin. What is carboxyhemoglobin? Whenever carbon monoxide reacts with hemoglobin in our body, it will produce a product that is called as carboxyhemoglobin. You have to remember it. And the next point is the low levels of CO, carbon monoxide inhalations produce symptoms like headache, dizziness, reduction in reaction time, etc. Higher levels of carbon monoxide inhalations may cause nausea, heart, heart palpitations, difficulty in breath, sometimes death. So these are all the health effects of carbon monoxide. And the next one is the persons dying with carbon monoxide inhalations exhibit characteristic of pink color of flesh because carboxyhemoglobin in pink color. It means the persons it means if the person died with the inhalation of carbon monoxide, that person's blood will be in the color of pink. It means hemoglobin will give red color to the blood and carboxyhemoglobin will be in pink color, so their blood color will be in pink. And one more thing you have to remember, that listen, don't disturb. We have to remember that sometimes carbon monoxide also cause directly death. If we inhale the air which contains huge quantity of carbon monoxide, immediately the people will die. Okay, fortunately, okay, this is the important point you have to remember, that fortunately carbon monoxide is not a permanent pollutant, since natural process do not convert carbon monoxide to other compounds that are, say, we can find out who is disturbing the class, so don't disturb here. So I think already HOD ma'am have been given a warning to you all. Even though if you are disturbing, means it is going to problem for you. Don't disturb that. Say here, this is the important point here. Fortunately, so we have discussed that carbon dioxide is a highly poisonous gas. And one more thing we have to remember, that it is not a permanent pollutant in atmosphere, because if you take sulfur dioxide, once it emitted into atmosphere, its concentration in atmosphere be stable for longer time. It means for approximately for 4 days the concentration of sulfur dioxide in atmosphere will be stable. But if you take carbon monoxide, it is a highly poisonous pollutant and it is not a permanent pollutant. It means once it is emitted in atmosphere, within hours it will be disappears from atmosphere. It means it will undergo, it means it will be disappears. It
Sir,
means
voice break అవుతుంది సార్.
voice is getting break.
Yes, sir.
sir.
Voice is breaking.
Because you all muted your muted na.
Muted, sir. But
Yourself.
These are
hello. Voice
Hello?
is breaking, sir.
Now
We can't
Hello?
hear, sir.
now you can hear na. Hello.
Hello.
hello,
Hello.
hello, hello.
Tell me. Everybody is having same problem.
Yes, sir.
Sir, now. Hello,
Hello. Okay, you can see that.
hello,
Hello.
hello, hello. Sir,
Everybody is,
one second.
yeah.
Okay,
Where I am-
now okay, sir.
Now okay na.
Okay.
Okay, you can see here. Fortunately, carbon monoxide is not a permanent pollutant, since
Hello. Hello.
hello.
Oh.
Please you all unmute yourself.
Sir, voice is breaking, sir, completely.
Now
Mic
here,
testing 1 2 3.
my signal is good here na.
Sir,
Okay.
once say mic testing 1 2 3, అది కరెక్ట్ అవుతుందేమో.
Arey, don't. Okay, you can see here. Okay, I will conclude now because only we are having only 1 minute left. Okay na. Hello.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
We
you can
can't
see.
listen, sir. Hello.
Okay, you can see here. Carbon monoxide is not a permanent pollutant, since natural process do convert carbon monoxide to other compounds that are not harmful. Therefore, the atmosphere can be cleared of carbon monoxide if no new carbon monoxide is introduced into atmosphere. So you can